All right, I've been live arbitrage betting for over a week now. Let's take a look at my results and some tips and tricks I've learned along the way to make it as profitable and risk-free as it possibly can for you. Welcome to Juice Bets. My name is Trevor. Today, going into a very hot topic in the plus EV sports betting and sports betting using math industry, which is live arbitrage betting using the Oddsjam Platinum plan. If you do want to try this, it's linked down below. You can get a week free trial and 35% off your membership. So it definitely helps cut down on those, that large price tag for that plan. But without further ado, let's get into the video, look at my results, and talk about some tips. What I'll do here is I'm going to screen record on my phone and we'll go through all of my arbitrage marked bets here, which is where I can, on Picket, I can mark them as an arbitrage bet, and we can really see how I've done strictly arbitrage betting. Okay, so this is a screen recording of my Picket here, and as you can see, tons and tons of bets on this first day. And I'm just going to go through exactly what I'm looking at. So for instance, I would take the under team total on MGM and then take the over team total on DK and profit $2 on that one, right? Like not a whole lot. Then I would, look at this Niners and Lions game, take the first half on MGM on the Lions, and then take the Niners on DK and profit the difference in between, right? So tons and tons of bets here, $500 on each side. And as you can see, a lot of the times, the losing side is $500, but then the profitable side is, more than that, right? 541.48 on Caesars where I'm actually winning, but then the loss was 500, right? So I'm profiting $40, $50, $80 here and there. And yeah, these are all of my bets on Picket, and this is basically as transparent as I can be here. I'm basically taking both sides of a bet on different sports books and profited over $2,700 so far. Okay, so a pretty good result on my first week of live arbitrage betting, but it really isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are things that you need to look out for when you're doing this because this is pretty fast-paced, it's live. There are risks to be had here. So let's talk about those risks. Let's go into some tips and tricks to try to mitigate your potential losses if you are to mess something up. All right, we're on Oddsjam now, and here's tip number one is to stay organized. So we're on the arbitrage tool, and I would highly recommend that you create some filters here to help you stay organized so you can be quick while you're doing this. So what I do is I have a pre-game arb filter where basically I have all the sports books, applied on this specific filter that I have access to, right? So I've got access to all these sports books here, and before for pre-game arbs, it doesn't really matter what sports book it's available on. I'm gonna take it, right? I'm gonna try to get some pre-game arbitrage volume in so I can at least lock in a couple $100 in profit before I start live arbing. Now, when I'm looking at live arbs, it really depends on what sports books you have access to, in what location you are. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're getting the live link feature, right? So the click-through feature where Oddsjam gives you the link, okay? So if we were to remove our filters here, we'd be able to see that on some of these bets here, you have a little bet icon here, right? And what this does, and this is the most powerful part about Oddsjam with live arbitrage betting, is utilizing this link click here. So basically what this does is it pulls up the bet in your DraftKings account in seconds, right? And so Oddsjam has that capability on DraftKings, MGM, FanDuel, but not in Canada. So that's been hindering my abilities to get as much volume down, is because I can't really use FanDuel for live arbitrage betting because it doesn't have the one-click feature on Oddsjam for the Canadian version of FanDuel. But in general, if you're in the States, you've got DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, and Caesars. They all have that one-click link feature here, and that is really the thing that you're looking for. That you need to have this to actually effectively live arbitrage bet. So what I do is, if you have access to all four of those books, well, create a filter on Oddsjam where you basically select just those books that you want to have, right? So you can select, just DraftKings, just Caesars, and let's say you don't have FanDuel, but you've got Caesars, you've got DraftKings, and you've also got MGM, right? So then you would select all those books, and then you would save that filter as live arb. For me, I've been doing it with DraftKings and Caesars and MGM. Then I got limited on MGM, so now I'm just doing DraftKings and Caesars. I also mixed in a filter with the score to see if I could mess around with ESPN Bet as well. But long story short, make sure that you're setting your filters here so you can quickly go between sportsbooks and filter it effectively. I'm recording this video during the day and there's not really any games on right now, so I can't show you live me doing this, but this is basically how you would utilize the one-click feature. On the left here, you can see, you basically drag that into another window and it pulls up the bet for you in your slip, right? So what I would recommend doing is having two windows open. You can split screen just like I'm doing here in this screen recording. And basically you can pull those two links from Oddsjam into each window, and then it will open up the bet for you, right? It's really simple. I mean, you literally just drag the bet into a window and it pulls it up in your bet slip, right? So what I would do, I'd have my, for me, I have my two monitors and then I have my laptop beside me. On my laptop, I'm looking on Oddsjam like I am on the left here, right? On Oddsjam, on the live arbitrage tool, and then I'm quickly dragging both sides of the bet into each window, and then I'm seeing if the odds of that bet are the same, right? So I'm always checking, are the odds accurate to do an arbitrage bet, right? And the quick way to do that is the plus side, right? Is plus 450 here on East Carolina larger than whatever it might be on Temple on the other side? Maybe it's minus 400. Okay, great. Well, that's an arb, right? Because we get the plus side is larger than the minus side. And that's a simple, easy way while you're doing this to understand if the arb is still valid, right? And then once you see, okay, the odds are good, make sure that you check that the actual line is the same, right? So we're pulling right here on Oddsjam, we're pulling a UAB -7 at -125. That's what Oddsjam has notified as a plus EV bet. We pull it into Caesars and we can see that, okay, it is actually, I'm just gonna drag this a sec, it is actually -7.5. The line is the same, and so yeah, make sure odds and the line are the same. That's the first thing you gotta always make sure, because this line here, especially on Caesars, will change. The odds might not change, right? And I've had this literally my second live arb I tried to do. I saw that the odds were the same, but the actual line had changed to -8.5. And this is no longer an arb if the lines aren't the same, right? Got to make sure -7.5 on one side, +7.5 on the other. Okay, some more tips would be after an arb, right? After you successfully do an arb, make sure that you check on both sides, both sports books, that it's placed correctly. Go look at the lines, look at the odds, do the math, understand, okay, I made X amount of dollars on this arb, and then write it down in your notes, right? You wanna make sure that you're keeping track of these arbs and you're understanding if you're making money, right? You wanna see how much you're making money. Picket is a great way to track it automatically afterwards. I don't mind just jotting it down in my notes as well so I can see how I'm doing as I'm going throughout the day, but Picket's an option, or just jot them down in your notes. I'm gonna make a follow-up video to this where I'm doing it live, but another really good tip here is to make sure that when you're doing your arb, if the line has changed, right? Let's say that this Blazers line has gone to -8.5, and you might think, okay, it's no longer valid. I would hold on for a second, and I would actually, this is what you call camping the lines, where you see, let's say on DraftKings, you have the opposite side. Well, DraftKings is still valid, right? It's still looking okay. Well, let's just hold and see if Caesars might drop this line back to -7.5. It happens all the time, where if you camp the line, they're moving so fast, the game's happening, who knows what's gonna happen to move that line, and sometimes Caesars will be the first one to move it back to a valid arb before DraftKings can react, and that's when you can quickly get that bet in. let's quickly talk about mental math, which is something that you need to do as a live arbitrage bettor. You can't use the arbitrage calculator when things are moving and when lines are changing. So between DraftKings and Caesars, this is a great strategy that has helped me a lot. So what you do is you pull up the two bets in the two windows, you put your unit size in on DraftKings first, and that will give you a payout, right? And this allows you to match it perfectly on Caesars. So what you can do is you can double click the number, Command C, and then go over to Caesars and Command V, paste it into the payout side, right? So that will now give you the same payout on both sides. It will fill in the wager amount, and then you're on your way and you can place your bets, right? Because at the end of the day, when we're live arbitrage betting between the two books, we're just looking to have the same payout amount on each side, right? As long as your odds are valid for an arb, right? The plus number is larger than the minus. If the payouts are the same, then you've done a correct arbitrage bet, right? Because if the payouts are the same and you add the two wagers up and you subtract it from the payout, you'll have a profitable bet, right? So you want to make sure your payouts are the same. That's how you do it. If you can't copy and paste like you can between DraftKings and Caesars, what I do instead is I basically do math in my mind. So for instance, let's say I can't paste it in, right? And I see that, DraftKings, the payout is, $950. Okay, well what I'll do is I'll see, okay, well, it's minus 150 and I need to get to 950, right? So sorry, it's minus 110, I need to get to 950. So I'm gonna put in 500, I'm gonna put in, let's say I put in $400. Okay, so it's not high enough. Okay, well, I'll go back and then put in 500. Okay, perfect, I nailed it, right? Sometimes you gotta play around a little bit. Okay, well, maybe I need it to be a bit higher. Okay, I'll do 510, not quite, I'll do 505. Okay, perfect, got it, and then place it. So sometimes you need to kind of play around with the numbers and you'll get used to it as you go. Like I said, between DraftKings and Caesars, you have that copy paste function, which makes things super easy. But between MGM and FanDuel, it makes things a little more difficult. So you're gonna have to do that mental math. I'd highly recommend just like sticking to a unit size that you get comfortable with, so then you can do that math even quicker. Okay, I hope that cleared some things up for you. If you are interested in live arbitrage betting, feel free to ask more questions down below. I'd be happy to answer them down there. I'm doing my best to show this off during the day when there's not very many games on, so bear with me here. I will be making a video where I'm doing it live in the evening, on some college basketball games, and it'll look great. I'll also have follow-up videos coming as well with more information about live arbitrage betting, so stay tuned to those. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and we'll see you guys next time.